Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to episode number 49 of the White Knuckle Podcast, powered by Ozonics. Undetectable, undeniable. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the White Knuckle Podcast again, episode number 49. Tonight we're going to talk about the Archery Trade Association show that I had the privilege of taking our team down to. We got down there on, Wednesday night and went to the pre-party, and Thursday we went to the show and worked our tails off trying to bring every bit of new gear that we could to you guys via Facebook Live or our YouTube channel, whatever the case may be. We hope you enjoyed that. Tonight what we're going to do is just talk about each one of our top 3, 4, 5 takeaways, whatever it was that we went through, and give you guys our 2 cents on what we thought was the neatest products that we saw. So with that, let's start the show off. Here is our interview with the 4 of us. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back to the White Knuckle Podcast. Tonight, we are going to recap the 2018 ATA show that we just got back from yesterday, and some of us today. That was down in Indianapolis, Indiana. I've got joined with me on the other end, David Prochnow. Say hey, Dave.
Hello. Hey there.
I've got Donnie Monroe.
How you doing?
And none other than Scott Hemann.
Hey, what is up?
Not much. Who's tired?
Are you talking about?
I know I am.
I
know I am. I slept yesterday more than I've slept the past week once I got home.
Who left the bar earlier, Donnie or you, Scott?
I would say that was Donnie for
That'd
sure.
be the old guy.
Well, no, David and I were already sleeping by the time, so we would be the old guys or the no fun guys. But hey, guys,
Smart guys,
right? So for 3 of us, it's something that we've done before. For one of us, Scott, you've never been there before. Let's just talk for just a minute, if we can, about what your thoughts were on going to the show, because, you know, as a consumer, they don't get to go to that show. You have to be a member of the Archery Trade Association, and you don't just get to become a member of the Archery Trade Association without proving you're somehow involved in that trade. What were your thoughts about the initial show itself?
So whenever I had first walked in, I was waiting for Donnie, and me and him walked in together looking for you, Jason, and Dave. So we were kind of looking for something, but whenever I first walked in, it was just like, oh my goodness, this is like the biggest place that I've ever been in with everything that I'm interested in. So it was kind of overwhelming, and then as it went on, I didn't feel like I had a whole lot of a chance to really look at too many things, and I was worried about getting shots with a camera and worrying about just running camera, finding things that we needed to look at and do all of our interviews with and everything. So, and at first, definitely overwhelming, but yeah, and it was awesome.
It was definitely way more work than it was in the past for us, wasn't it, Dave?
Oh, absolutely. This year we were pretty focused. Not that we weren't last year, but I think on the first year it was just easy to get caught up in the shock and awe. And
right.
This year was a little easier to settle in, but it was, I'm whooped physically. It's just a lot of standing and walking, but I felt like we were productive.
Yeah, I felt like we went away we all took time away from our jobs and worked. Donnie, you've been there, I don't know how many times. What was your impression of this year's show? Was there any differences in this year versus other years that you've been there?
Yeah, I don't know how many years total. I had my shop over 20 years and probably attended, I don't know, maybe 16 times. So maybe this is the 17th, somewhere in that ballpark. one thing from when it first started to now, things have changed a lot. Back in the day, I think that it was easier for consumers to get in. So from a dealer standpoint, it was very difficult to go in and actually see the products that you needed and try to figure out what you needed to purchase for the year. And ATA's done an excellent job as far as minimizing that. I know everybody wants to go to that, but it's very important that your dealers are able to look at that and see what they want to stock. So eventually you can go and touch it, feel it at your local dealer. And so they've done a good job with that. The other thing, the show was really big. Seemed like a lot of vendors this year, probably, unless, it's been a few years since I've been. So maybe it's just some of that, but it sure did seem like it was very, very large and a lot of vendors, and my feed are still telling me that it was. So have to believe that. But that was probably the biggest thing that I noticed.
Yeah, it was. I guess I think it was the same size as it was last year. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yes, I thought it was very similar. Very similar. I found a lot of the vendors were in the same places or relatively close to the same place.
Sure.
But that's how I remember it.
So we wanted to talk about sort of the highlights of the show itself. And as I was coming home from the gym this afternoon, I was thinking about how we would accomplish that, and I thought we would each pick 5 topics, and out of the 5, we're likely going to overlap some of them. So whoever gets to go first and whoever gets to go last is the first person is at an advantage, and the last person is at a disadvantage or an advantage because they don't have to talk as much, however you want to look at it. But so I thought in my head we'd go alphabetically, which would mean David, you would go first. Right? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. There's that Camry fees and education.
Because I win. We'll go with it.
Right. So what, in your opinion, were the highlights?
Well, I'll pick one to start with, no particular order. I can't say no to a good backpack. I don't know why that is. It's kind of like a good pair of boots, I guess. And I understand that, for a lot of people, a pack isn't that important. It depends on your style of hunting. And I'm just weak, so it doesn't really have anything to do with my style of hunting. But the Mystery Ranch and Badlands boots I thought were great. Mystery Ranch came out with a whitetail pack this year. I've heard about them in the Western circles, and I know they've been around for a long time between Western big game hunting and military equipment. But they kind of ventured into the whitetail world this year, and we took a look at that Treehouse pack. And then there was that pop-up. There was an 18 and a 28, a couple different sizes in that. But I was just really impressed with the thought that went into that. If you're a run-and-gun type of hunter or you're going to be taking a lot of equipment in with you, because we're always doing, it's not tree stands, it's tree stands and video equipment and whatever else might come with you. But I thought they put a lot of thought into squeezing that between the pack and the frame and being able to carry a load efficiently in a Western style, but for a heavy whitetail hunter. I was really impressed with what they put together. And then we were over in the Badlands booth too. And of course, Badlands have been known for years and years and years to make a wide variety of packs and quality stuff at that. So we looked at a couple there that would be great for whitetail hunting. They have a clothing line that's really pretty impressive. I didn't realize it was so expanded, and I think they had a new camo this year. Did they go from green to brown? Was brown the new one?
Yes. Brown was the new one. They come out with green last year, and I forget what the actual name of the camo pattern is. But all the clothing that they had was definitely top notch. It felt excellent.
I would agree. It seemed like really nice stuff. And then they have that binocular carrier, which has got a magnetic latch and stuff, which is really pretty slick. So to kick things off, I was just impressed with the pack selection in terms of if I was going to do run and gun, like Jason, you did public this last year. I thought they put together some really good systems for taking in all the equipment you're going to need.
Well, and that's the nice thing about having the 4 of us on here is because we all have different styles of hunting. David, yours is vastly different than what I did this year. And I imagine Donnie and Scott, you're maybe a little bit more similar than the difference between Dave and I. But what was your guys' take on the packs?
I thought the packs were both. Matter of fact, I really didn't. I didn't catch. I guess probably because I was flying when you sent the text, but it didn't come through about picking the 5. So, but with that being said, when I heard you say that, a couple things that popped to my mind was also the Mystery Ranch, which was the pop-up frame design, which would allow you, whether you're elk hunting, to carry out a quarter, or whether you want to put like a lone wolf stand in tight. It kind of had a lot of room and just real versatile for heavy hauling, and for guys like us that are, maybe packing on a stand and doing a hang and hunt, or even just carrying camera gear, and you can put a lot of that weight close to your body. And a really nice pack, and they're known to be super high quality. The other thing was Badlands, like Dave said. They pretty much hit on all the highlights there as well, and just really nice as far as packs. And I guess when you pack around all this camera equipment, and you really realize how critical and how important those are. And some of the elk hunts that I've been on, you realize real quick how critical they are and how you want them to be quiet and store everything and so forth. So I agree. As far as pack-wise, those are the two that really stood out to me.
Cool. Yeah, I agree.
They were on my list as far as what I would want to talk about, that I was impressed with what I seen.
I was as well. I Mystery Ranch, I didn't even know they existed, in all honesty, just because I live in a sheltered world, I guess. But in speaking with those guys, and of course having Eddie there, and he, it's a small world for whether it's Donnie, Ed, or Todd. Any of the three of those guys could have run into anybody around any corner, but Eddie was there for a bit, and turns out he knows the owner's son. And then Todd and I were going over there for a meeting, and Todd is walking up, and it turns out Todd somehow, I don't know, once or twice removed, knows the owner. But I didn't know the history behind Mystery Ranch, and they have a large military presence as well. A large part of their business is with the United States military, and I believe the British military in some form or another. And even wilder than that, their office and plant is located, I believe Dana said, Dana's the owner, I believe he said it was within 100 meters of their of the Sitka factory.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So
you just mentioned Sitka. That's another thing that I was going to bring up. I was, of course, I've got several different Sitka outfits and been using them for several years, and it's kind of good to see that they're kind of branched out into the whitetail market. They had quite a few different newer clothing sections or garments that were based around whitetails. So looks like they had some really good, interesting ideas as far as around like the merino wool. I think it was maybe polypropylene that they added with it, which then not only wicks the moisture away, but still keeps you warm and super lightweight. So a lot of interesting stuff there at Sitka as well. That was one on my list. Not to jump off yours, Dave. Sorry.
No, we'll go right around the table here, just to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk. You go ahead, Donnie, and elaborate a little bit on what you saw with Sitka that you liked.
Yeah, I mean the merino wool, which I currently use, I probably wear that from about the third week of October on. Now, when I wear it, I may not wear something heavy as an outer garment, but I love wearing that, and it's very comfortable and it feels good. But there's one thing, when you use that, it will tend to stretch out a little bit, and that was one thing that they addressed, I guess, with the polypropylene also, that it helps get the moisture away, but it also it helps with elasticity, so you don't get that stretching over time. So that was one of the big things for me. And then they just continue to kind of bring out different layers, and to me, that's very important. Because I always make sure that I try to keep out my outer layers or anything heavy, and that way I can stay comfortable and I don't sweat when I'm walking to the stand. So when I get to the stand, is generally, unless I have a super short walk and I'm going to walk really slow, generally most of the time that I'll actually put my outer layer on when I actually get into the stand, or right before I climb the stand.
Yeah,
just seeing some of that stuff is really, I guess, it's just nice to see, those companies like that, because, the big, when you're out west hunting, it's a different ball game, and those guys know that it's all about, how do you stay warm? How do you stay dry? How do you stay lightweight? And what do you do? Because you've got to adjust for different temperatures, and, it might be warm in the morning, but in the evening, you might have a front come in and it snows real heavy, or you might get into rain, and you just got to have lightweight gear that you can adjust and put on layers to basically fight all the elements. And the quality of garments for those Western hunters have been really good for the past few years, and it's good to see that they're starting to branch into the whitetail guys and giving us some of those same high-end garments.
I completely agree with everything that you said. They've definitely put some serious thought into the whitetail, I guess, segment of the hunting industry, because that the really thin. Donnie, you probably, or Dave, or any of you guys probably remember when we were talking with Chris Derrick there, who's their, I believe he's their whitetail, I think his title was called Whitetail Product Manager. They made an outer garment for early season that was just, it was perfect, I thought.
Yeah, yep, that's right. I forgot to. Yep.
And
I know they had several different ones, but yeah, it was specializing in early season. But again, even with that one, you could still use it as a base layer too. So again, it's all about, layering as well.
What else did you see that in there that you particularly liked?
We didn't spend. They were really, really busy. So as far as beyond the whitetail section, I noticed some stuff as far as what looked different to me, but we really didn't get to cover all, everything that we wanted to, just because, they were busy with other dealers and everything in their booths. So I'm sure I'll have to go online and see what else they have to kind of brush up. But as far as, that was the big takeaway, I guess. And that's really, I guess, what they were trying to illustrate was new for them for this year was their whitetail section, and I guess that's why they handed the product manager to us, the whitetail product manager, to kind of to hit on all those highlights.
Yeah,
what I had whenever I got done filming the whole segment we had with them, what I went and looked at was they're the same style and I think the same name garments that were made in solid colors rather than in the camouflage to wear out for every day, and that's what I would be more interested in. I've had Sitka stuff and everything fits great. I love the feel of it, and to get it in a solid color is definitely something that I'll be checking out to just for every day, going out doing whatever, and it's all very excellent look when you look professional wearing it. So I will look into their solid colors as well.
Yeah, and not just Sitka, but I mean, like Dave spoke earlier, even Badlands, they're kind of getting more into the clothing side, and there were a few different. I know even Scentlock had some new stuff that we kind of brushed through on some of that. And it's a lot of people paying attention to detail, I guess, and kind of getting more into what they can do to help the hunter, besides just throwing on a big heavy coat and, using that and sticking with it. You're starting to get a lot more options, which can help you in the end, stay out there and stay warm, stay dry, and stay hunting longer and more. So it's all great benefits.
Yeah, I would agree. And Sitka obviously has great stuff, but there's Nomad, there's Cryptic, there's countless, right? Under Armour was a big presence there. And the bottom line is they all have a system now. And I think that's what's really cool. There's no reason not to layer. There's no reason to throw on a cotton t-shirt anymore. Not that a cotton t-shirt hasn't killed a lot of deer, but if you're looking for a system, and like Scott said, if you're looking for more casual clothes, Under Armour had a lot of those too. Clothes you just wear out on the town, and they're pushing that stuff in the same quality of material. And so I think there's no excuse for somebody not to go out and, if you are cold out there or uncomfortable, there's definitely solutions out there in whatever brand you like.
Scott, what was your favorite thing of the show?
Oh, that's hard to kind of pin it down to one thing. I'm trying to think of what I all had on my list. And Fire Disc is up there. We never really stopped and looked at them too much, but that's something that I've looked into before. And I cook a bunch. On 90% of the cooking and in our household is done by me. So that's just kind of a neat little camp tool. But I don't know if we want to get very far into that. A gold tip arrows was another one. Like Tim Gillingham was an excellent interview for us. He really knows his stuff, and
Tim's very informative on shafts.
Yeah, and it was hard for me to try and pay attention to everything he was saying, because I was looking at it all through the viewfinder, making sure everything was right, audio and everything. So I don't know the science and everything that goes behind it. But I've been shooting the Gold Tip Kinetic Pierce for the past year, and I really, really like them. And that's one of them that I noticed was their really strong micro diameter. It's smaller than anything I've ever shot, and it's one of the two smallest diameter arrows on the market. So that was kind of it made me feel better about my shafts, knowing that I'm shooting one of the strongest arrows that's out there.
Yeah, and we're not trying to be biased when we did some of these videos, because believe it or not, Dave and I actually stopped by a couple other places, and as far as arrows, and they just didn't really have enough people that they could free up. A lot of them were busy with dealers and placing orders, and that's what they got to do with those shows. So it's important. So we, down the road, we might be able to get some of them on a podcast where they can kind of talk about some of their products and, what they can do to help us. But we didn't try to be biased and just pick out certain ones. But the whole show was kind of that way in some aspect, that it was, that we just couldn't see everything. And it's really big, and, a lot of people were busy, and we would say, we'll get back with you, and it just didn't work out. So, if we missed something that somebody wanted to hear about or see, maybe down the road, if somebody lets us know, we can reach out to them and try to find out more information.
Yeah, it was definitely a task and a half to get to everyone. There's no way we could have gotten to everyone. We had a hard enough time just getting to the folks that support us on a daily basis, let alone everybody else, trying to bring an unbiased bunch of information. Not just visit our sponsors and that's it. We wanted to give everyone a taste of what was out there and what was available, and it's an overwhelming task, really. There's just so much to see. Scott, did you want to elaborate a little bit on the camp tool that you were talking about?
Yeah, what it is, they hook up to just like a Coleman camp fuel canister, and it's a firebox, not really a firebox, but just like a standard propane fryer deal, and it's a disc on top. There's several different tops that you can do. There's one's like a wok, one is almost like a wok with sides and like a, not really a deep, but I'd say the diameter of the pans that go on top are about 2 foot circle, and you can do anything on those things. You can deep fry, stir fry, just everything. They're a neat like camp kind of stove deal, and they're just something that I would look into. I like using a wok, especially because some of the things that I do with my wild game and everything is cook it, but like Chinese style. I'll do a wild turkey, and do like it's almost like an orange chicken over fried rice, and I'll do all that in a wok like that. So that's kind of a neat thing that I don't have to hook up to a big propane can, and it's a really neat accessory that you can hook it up with a regular Coleman camp fuel canister.
Okay, was that the red thing that we saw that looked like I hate to say it this way, but it looked like a garbage can top with a like a tin garbage can lid with basically with a flame under it? Is that what you're referring to? We saw so much. Okay, the one thing about this show, and not to cut you off, but the one thing about this show is that you don't see really a lot of the gimmicky things there that you might see at maybe a regional show. Would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you got to spend quite a bit of money to get in there to even do that. So
yeah, it's not a cheap date. There's nothing cheap about it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well, I guess the one thing that I wanted to point out, and I thought was really cool, was again the Sitka, the experience we had there. Not only did Mr. Chris Derrick, take a ton of time with us, which was great. You could clearly tell he had a passion for whitetails. He went out of his way to make it, an informative, 20 minutes that we spent there. Gave us some T-shirts, but in addition to that, the thing that they did that I didn't see anybody else do that meant a lot to me was they had us all sign up for basically I'm going to call it a charity, but an organization like whether it's Whitetails Unlimited or Ducks Unlimited or QDMA, any of those things, they paid for our each of all four of us for a membership to whatever organization that we wanted to join. And White Knuckle is a supporter of QDMA, so I saw them on the list. I saw several others, so I signed up for I believe it was the Delta Waterfowl, whatever that one was. Because I already get the stuff for QDMA through White Knuckle, but I thought that was a pretty neat gesture. That spoke highly of them and their commitment, not just to selling a bunch of product, but to conservation. And not that whoever didn't do it doesn't care about conservation, but I thought that was a really nice gesture.
Because they take a dime from us. It cost them money for us to just go in there and do that. We could have walked away and got that and never done another thing or talked to them again. It's pretty remarkable. Just for us taking a little bit of time to talk to them. So
I agree, David. I don't know if you remember, but they all gave us. I know you probably remember them giving us hats, but I don't know if you remember being at that QDMA banquet that. We went to as a group. White Knuckle did last year up in Wisconsin Dells, where my wife started bidding on a Sitka hat and paid $100 and some for the same Sitka hat that I got for free. So I brought it home and showed her what a free hat looked like versus a $100 hat.
Well, all for the support of QDMA, of course. So.
Right, exactly. She so what she thought she was doing was bidding on this, just so the other you guys here are aware of what happened. She thought she was bidding on this little, was it a mini bike, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, a little motorbike.
Yeah, a little motorbike, and she thought she was getting it for $100, and what she was really getting was a hat, and a chance in a 1 in 4 chance at getting the mini bike. Needless to say, we didn't get the mini bike, but we did get a Sitka hat that's still in its package, I think, somewhere around here. But I already pulled mine out of the package. The other one's far too valuable to take out of the package. Well, I'm gonna.
I tell you.
Go ahead.
Something else that before I forget, a couple things. One was that was really impressive to me was the clarity of the new Vortex Impact rangefinder. I think it's retail 260, 270 in that range, but I was amazed with the clarity of that thing and thought that was really great, especially for the money. And then also comes with their VIP lifetime warranty. Pretty much if you damage it, they'll take care of it. That was for the money. I thought that was really good. If you don't have a rangefinder, you really need to look at that. Another thing that, to me, I've been using a single pin for a long time and eventually started getting into two pins just so I could have a quick reference on a second. But one thing that I noticed was Spot Hog now has a 2-pin inline system and also has a double indicator that's the exact same distance for those pins. So that yardage, no matter what you adjust your top yardage for, the second indicator will tell you what the bottom pin is automatically. And to me, that was just really cool design, and something especially for out west guys or somebody that wants just doesn't like a lot of pins in front of their face. I thought that was pretty awesome. So that really intrigued me. The other thing on sights was maybe a little bit too much for me personally, but it was really neat for the thought that they put into it was the Garmin sight. That was really interesting and something different. I don't know that they'll sell a whole ton of them, but they are rather expensive, but really neat how you can set it up and pretty much you don't have to worry about anything. You just put the pin on and it'll automatically adjust for your range and everything. So pretty neat stuff.
To go back on where you first started there on the Spot Hog, I bought the Fast Eddie XL when they first came out with the 2-pin, and mine only had come with a single pin indicator. So I would talk to the guy while I was there, and it's not listed on their website to be able to buy just the double pin indicator. So I asked if I'd be able to get one of those, and he said he wasn't sure if it was on the site or not. But if it's not, to just go ahead and email Spot Hog to be able to get one of those. That's something that I would like to have is the dual indicator. So all I got to do is just go to Spot Hog and get a hold of them, and they should be able to send me one.
David, you're up again. Actually, I didn't take a turn, so I'm just going to take a quick turn. And
as long as you don't take my thing.
Okay.
Don't take my product.
Well,
all right, go ahead.
I'm a trail camera guy, and Lord knows there's 100 trail cameras out there, and everyone knows that we're partnered with Spartan Camera. But I just think the new technology, it's really not a new camera, but the technology that is in this latest generation of Spartan cameras, with 4G LTE and the availability of video, but not just the availability of video isn't what really got me revved up. I guess it was the simple fact that you could get a picture, and once you got the picture, you could request the video that. So there's a mode that you can put it on. It takes a picture and a video. You can request the picture. you can request the video after the picture, which I thought was super cool and a really neat feature. So you're not having to spend all that data on getting video unless you really want it. So it sort of allows you to have the best of both worlds, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys caught that when Dave Skinner was telling us about that. The new case they have was really, looked pretty badass in my opinion. But I think from a technological standpoint, just the thought that they put into that, clearly you can tell that hunters are having some input on what they're doing with the functionality of that camera. And that's been something that frustrated me with other cellular cameras in the past that I really have grown to appreciate with Spartan cameras. So that was probably one of my favorite products. I've got another one as well, but
before you jump on to the next one, let me kind of hit on something there at Spartan that I thought was really awesome. So as these come on and you're doing more video and more functions like that, they're going to take more battery use. That's just the way it is, What I thought was really awesome that I wasn't aware of was the battery box that they have there. And what basically the way it was explained to me is, so the cameras take a 6-volt battery, but what you can do with this battery box, you can hook up like a deep cycle marine battery, and it will actually hook into this box, and the box will actually regulate 6 volts to the camera itself. And it's a true clean 6 volts, which will keep your camera from being destroyed. And it's real easy to plug in and set up. But the thing about that is, what they were telling me is, like, once you do that, like, it's months and months that you can run and no issues. So I thought that was pretty awesome. Well, I was already getting. And they do. They do have other options. They do have other options too, where you can just, hook in like a feeder battery, like a little 6-volt feeder battery, rechargeable, and you can plug in with just a harness. But the deep cycle is really cool. Yeah, that was. I think that's a game changer as well, because if you've got a spot that you sort of want to monitor starting in June, you can pretty much rest assured it's going to be running in November. Because I was getting, I don't know about what y'all had for experiences, but I've got cameras out right now, so it's January, that I changed batteries in the 15th or 17th of October, 23rd of October, 23rd of October is when I changed batteries out, and they're all running yet. So, that's pretty significant for a cellular camera. Let's get on to the next thing, David. What was your next favorite thing?
Well, the next thing I had was the Hunter Safety System harnesses for this year, and not that they were all new. And the reality is, I don't care what style or maker of harness people wear, as long as they wear one. But their new Pro Series, which I don't know if it retailed around $120 something, which I thought was relatively reasonable for harnesses. But it had the USB charging port in it. So if you want to bring external power sources for your phone or what have you, it's got the USB port right in the vest. And, I at first thought, it's like, is that what it's come to? I got to charge my phone in my vest while I sit in a tree stand. But the reality is, most of us are bringing a phone to the stand. And if we're not using Onyx maps or something like that, we're playing games or checking Facebook. So, or using it for emergency purposes. So I thought that was really cool. They've got that hanger harness with the pockets on the side of the harness for hanging tree stands, which is just a really slick design. If you're out there just making a day of hanging stands and going up and down, I just think that's an awesome product for saving time and being safe. That's the best one I've seen so far. Yeah, it's a slick idea for sure. And the other thing, and not that it's new, they changed their lifelines. I think it's kind of a glow in the dark rope now. If you can see it, if that helps you. Yeah, I think it has glowing fiber in it. Yeah, and that's something I really need to get better at. I own a couple lifelines, but to be quite honest, a lot of times I'm just like, I'm not going to take the time to put it up. I'm running out of excuses not to do that. There's just no reason to not be connected from the minute you leave the ground to the minute you get back down again. They've made it so slick and so handy. And so they obviously, most companies offer those, but that's the thing I really need to do better this year, just to take care. If it's not myself, it's my wife, my 15-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter, whoever's going up and down that tree. There's no excuse not to be safe like that anymore. So I thought Hunter Safety Systems really had a neat thing going. That Pro Series vest was really cool.
Donnie, what's next on your list?
Let's see. I'll tell you something that I thought was really cool. I mean, I don't know that my wife would let me have that since I already have a bad boy buggy, but I really like the bikes. I think there were 3 different manufacturers. One was Rogue Ridge, one was Quiet Cat, and the other was
Rambo.
Yeah.
Rainbow. Yes, thank you. Rainbow. How could I forget that? Anyway, those were really cool. I mean, especially all the attachments. They had all kinds of attachments, even one that could carry a little mini canoe, or carry your deer out, or pack your stand in, whatever you wanted, not to mention just having, the actual packs and everything that you could put on the bikes themselves. But, I thought that was, and I know they're not brand new for this year. I think Quiet Cat first came out, but it looks like there's a couple others that are kind of popping into the scene. But could be pretty awesome. And, I think it could be beneficial too on some of public land where I think the DC motor is small enough that you might be able to actually use that. So something to look at though, anyway.
Scott, what's next on your list?
The next one that I again, not sure if my wife would let me have one of these, just like Donnie says, but I really like the Bronc box. That is something that I would really enjoy having. And what it is, it's a rotomolded box. It's, say 4 foot long by about 18 inches tall whenever it's laying down. And what you can do with the Bronc box is have organization for all of your clothing. For me, you'd be my camera gear and everything in the bottom of this box. And then there is several other attachments out of the lid. But the one that I liked is it's a fold down latch shelf, and you can fit your bow in there, and that would save me a lot of room in the bed of my truck. Just being able to have all of my stuff in one location. It seems like it'd be pretty efficient having everything right there. I used to have a launching pad from Sitka, and at first I really liked it, but then the more that I used it, the less I kind of liked it. It was nice having all my clothes in one spot, but if I was messing with it in the dark, I'd take one piece of clothing out, and then it was soft sided, so then stuff would start folding over, and it was hard to locate things in the dark. This thing being hard sided, it's got everything loose in its own container, or however you wanted to set it. And that would be something that I would really, really look into, is that Bronc box.
Cool. I guess it's my turn, isn't it? Something that I guess I became a fan of and learned a little bit more about after having the opportunity to talk with Zach at Onyx Maps was just the functionality of that whole app, how much work they've put into it, how much work they continue to put into it, and all the plans that they've got coming up for it in the following year. I don't know if any of you guys have used it at all, but it was an absolute must for me this year, just because it basically was a digital plat map. It was a topo map. It was it was everything that a public land hunter needs, and they it's not that they had a a new product. The product itself isn't new. It's just that the bells and whistles are a little bit different. If you're still stuck on, a Garmin, GPS unit, which I don't know that I'm ready to give that up or not, but it finally it integrates with that. When I did a podcast with Garrett Prawl from DIY Sportsman, we talked about, and again, I can't remember the acronym, but basically it right now, I believe on Onyx Maps, Topo map, it's 100 or 200 foot increments that they give you the topo line. And this other mapping software that's used is I think it's done with a laser, and it goes all the way down to, I want to say it's 5 feet. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but it's significantly smaller increments than what you would have on, what's currently available on most topographical maps. So as we all know, especially if we're hunting hill country, that's a game changer to be able to have access to that. And don't get me wrong, Onyx doesn't have that, but they're working their way towards that. And so just being able to talk to them and learn about all the things that are to come. One thing that I would say about them is, don't be afraid if you have the app and you're not 100% sure how to use it, and you don't maybe think that it is that beneficial for you. Give them a call and ask them how to properly use it, because the people that answer the phone there are more than happy to walk you through whatever questions that you could have about it. So I really enjoyed talking about that. I think probably largely because it was my lifeline this year. It was one of the reasons that I killed the buck that I did. I wouldn't have known to go in there had I not been able to drill down on the map and find the access that I needed to be able to get in there the way that I needed to in order to not blow the whole piece out. So I believe, whose turn is it next?
Well, I want to throw one other thing onto that, because I use it as well, and I've got friends that I hunt with on some public, and I don't let that out much, but we hunt together in some aspects. And one thing that I thought was cool was I can actually share if I find something or whatever. Now they have the option of sharing that information or that waypoint to someone else. So that was a new feature for them this year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that, and that's one of the things that I learned to do after actually calling in and having a conversation mid-October with one of the folks there out in, I believe it's in Montana is where they're at, that he said, well, you can, instead of using the thing on your iPhone, to share your location, you can just send that to your wife. And because nobody else knew where I was, and so I'd let her know in case, she didn't hear from me an hour after dark that probably something bad had happened, and at least you'd have a point of reference. So yeah, that was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
David?
Yes, sir. I'm going to go with the new Primos double bowl blind.
Oh, that's just that. Come on, man. That's too easy.
It is. It's a softball, but nobody's said it yet, and I'm shocked. It's kind of like a fantasy football
layup,
draft.
man. It's a bunny shot.
If he fell this far, he's got to be a deal. So, but that surround view system they've got now with that one-way see-through screen, I was just blown away by that. I've used old double bulls for a long time, but that screening from the outside, you truly can't see in. And I didn't realize it was going to be as clear as it was until we got inside, and then it's like there's nothing there. I was just blown away by how you could see through that screening. Now, it's not shoot through anymore. I mean, you're going to have to work around that, and not that I ever did shoot through the screening anyway. But I just thought it was really impressive. I don't know what kind of magic dust is on that material, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you literally,
if you're in the market,
you literally had to. I know when I was, Scott was doing some filming, and I was going to crawl in there, and I don't know what I was afraid I was going to open the door to, but I felt like I needed to knock on the door because I even though it is screened from the outside, I don't know, again, what they have on there, what magic sauce they put on it, but you couldn't see in. I even put my hands up, around my eyes, and I'm looking in there, and finally I could see in. So, yeah, I think that's going to be, for a guy like me who's tall, 6 foot plus, you're constantly crouching over, and I think that's going to make a big difference. Again, like you said, it's not see-through, but generally speaking, I'm not it's not shoot-through, it's see-through, but generally you're not going to shoot up that high anyway. I just don't want to have to be bent over the whole time, like guys like me are in those ground blinds, so it's nice to be able to see out of it.
I would agree. I thought that was really cool.
Donnie, what? I know I'm sort of rushing along here. I don't want to keep you guys all night.
I agree. We probably need to, because there's just so much that we could just go on and on. But one thing was real fast. Haviland knives. I went to those just because they're. You don't have to sharpen it anymore. You dull it out, you swap it out, and it's like a scalpel. They do have a heavier knife that they brought out this year. It actually has a gut hook. And I thought that was pretty cool, plus some flay knives that they came out with. But the main thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was we shot a lot of different bows throughout there, and different manufacturers, and there were a lot of nice bows. But one thing that did impress me about the new Ritual from Elite was the efficiency. And talking with the engineer there, I really was questioning him as far as really was it truly sit on 60 pounds, and it definitely was. So, we actually looked at it. We looked at several, and then we shot what I'm currently shooting, which is the Impulse 31, and compared that, and you could definitely, it's much easier to pull, even though I thought the Impulse 31 for, a fast bow was really smooth. The other thing about when you start talking about efficiency is, so it's, basically what you put in, you get more out of, but also you don't lose a lot. There's not a lot of excess vibration. A lot of the energy transfers to the arrow. So they were pretty brave with that bow and not putting a lot of rubber goods on, which generally, if you look at most of the bows out there, have a lot of that, which absorb a lot of that excess vibration. And that bow, they don't put much on there at all. It just, for not having anything on there and shooting without a stabilizer, when I took it off and shot it without a stabilizer even, and it was pretty impressive. But there were a lot of good bows out there, so I'd recommend you go shoot some and check them out. But I was very impressed with that. And then, of course, the engineer said, if you want to even make it quieter, you have options. You can put more rubber goods on it if that's what you're into. And then they also had, which is part of the Elite team, was that KMX crossbow, and that was pretty impressive, shooting 3-inch groups. It comes in out of the box to you, sighted in. It has a multi-line scope, and it is sighted in from the factory. And they even send a target that shows that it's sighted in, what they checked it with, out to 100 yards. So you literally pull it out of the box and shoot. And they were talking to us about how durable it is, and like they were throwing it all over the ground. Not at this one, but when they were testing them, and they were just talking about, they could throw it all over, pick it up, still shoot it, and it's dead on. And so anyway, pretty impressive.
Scott, you're next.
I'm going to say the animal head decoy hats. They're an animal head that you put on your head. Like a hat.
Are you looking to get shot?
I'm sure they work fine out west, but it has no purpose for me. No, that was just kind of a joke. But I've been looking at switching to a thumb trigger release, so I was really interested in the Scott Sigma. Shot it on their firing line, the makeshift bow thing, and I thought it felt really well in my hand. It fit my face nice, and that's something that I'll be looking into.
Cool. You guys have taken just about everything that I can think of. One thing that wasn't at the ATA show that it's worth mentioning because it was so doggone much fun, and I don't know if you guys think it was that fun, but that restaurant we ate at called Dick's Last Resort was an absolute hoot. Donnie, do you know, are they a chain?
I believe so. Sorry, I had to jump away. They lost one of my bags, so on the airline, and they just delivered it. So I apologize for that.
Oh, no problem.
But I did hear you, and I believe it is a chain, but it's a lot of fun, and I don't think they're all over the place. I don't know where else they're located, but I know that was something unique, and that's why I recommended this just to go there, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of like Ed DeBevick's in Chicago, if anyone's familiar with that.
Yeah, I was. I wish I could mention some of the things our waitress said, but I can't because then I'd have to make the show explicit. But I mean, when she walked away and David and Scott hadn't ordered yet, and she's like, "Quit whining, you guys. You're just gonna go hungry." Like she didn't care at all. Like she didn't care one bit. She just walked away. And then when she delivered our straws and threw them at us. Anyway, on the product side of things, I know David already mentioned it, and I'm just going to mention it one more time. That Mystery Ranch pack. I think you'll hear more about Mystery Ranch from us as the year goes on, but that'll be a conversation we have down the road. We had a great meeting with them, but I've never put on a backpack. I know we've used Tenzing in the past, and I've used Badlands in the past, but I've never put on a backpack that had so much thought put into it, especially a backpack that will carry a tree stand and carry it and not compromise your form. And when I say form, I mean just your ability to walk up and down a hill, etc., which I did a lot of this year. That's why it's a big deal to me. I thought it was great. The other thing that I thought was really cool was the interview we got to do with the QAD folks. We found this year, I think over last year, I don't know what the difference was, but I don't know, the folks that we talked to seemed a whole lot more apt to spend time with us. Maybe it was just our microphone thingy that showed who we were, but regardless, the QAD broadhead, the Exodus, that was very interesting to listen to him talk about how they engineered it, all the thought process that goes into a broadhead. It was, I guess, I would just think, it's got 3 blades on it and a head, and big deal. But there's a lot more thought that goes into it than what I had really, I guess, imagined. All right, last round and last call, I guess. David?
Oh, as far as new stuff, I think something that's not new, we spoke to Jesse at Stick and Pick, and when we walked up there, we said, well, talk about what's new. And he didn't have a lot that was new, but I think he made a good point that we've been running Stick and Pick for a while, and a lot of people I know have run Stick and Pick for a while, and so the product doesn't change a whole lot. But for anybody that's not familiar, you need to give Stick and Pick a look. If you're running trail cameras, GoPros, third angle cameras, what have you, that's just, I don't know. There's a beauty in simplicity and the design that they came up with and the versatility of their system. But I can't say enough about how that's changed trail cameras for me, along with camera angles and things like that.
I hate using the strap on a tree. They're amazing.
I agree.
Versatile.
They were an absolute game changer for me this year. Public land hunting, the strap-on mount that they have, normally you'd screw that thing into the tree. You can't do that on public land. or at least on some of it. If I got permission from the landowner, if it was MFL property or whatever, then I would do it. But they have a strap-on mount that straps right on the tree and does the same thing, and it just allows you to do so much more, especially 12 to 15 foot up, like I was putting those cameras, and you can articulate it in just in any fashion that you need to make sure you're going to get what it is that you're looking for, and that's a big buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the one thing that Jesse did show us that I know Cabela's had this year, and Bass Pro will likely have in their stores is I don't remember what it was called, but you just shove it in the ground. It's basically if any of you have a stick and pick that is on that. I'll call it that triangular stick in the ground type thing. That there's the post that slides in there. Basically they took it out and made it pointed, and you just shove it in the ground for that maybe that camera angle that's looking back at the ground blind for turkey hunting. I don't know if you guys got to see that or not.
Yeah, I thought it was a selfie stick. I mean, it looks like a selfie stick, just a single, and you can use it that way. But like you say, then you can just stick it in the ground and go. Pretty neat.
I think they call it the ground stake.
Let's go with that.
Well, that's appropriately named. Let's see who's Donnie. Last and final thoughts on the 2018 ATA show.
Well, there were a lot of different things, and matter of fact, I was kind of getting numb on day 3. But I will say that something that I thought was really cool. I haven't used them yet, but I want to get them in that. I can't remember what they're called, but they're like a stick caddy. But at Lone Wolf, you can buy them, and you can attach your sticks to your stand. A little quieter, a little easier, pretty cool. And then also with Lone Wolf, now you can buy the Alpha set of sticks and that quiver as a combined unit, which is pretty cool too. So,
the hunt ready system.
Kind of my last thing. Yes.
It's a Cabela's exclusive, so you got to go to Cabela's, and I think they might sell it on their website, but I know it's a Cabela's exclusive. You can't get it just anywhere.
Yeah. But even if you can't, you can still piece it. So if you want to piece it, or if you have the sticks and you've got the Alpha, you can add those to it and kind of make it. So pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely. You could give them a call down there at Lone Wolf, and they'll send you the plastic quiver for those sticks. That's a relatively inexpensive investment compared to other things that we spend money on. Scott, what? First of all, Donnie, is that it for you?
That wraps me up because I kind of snuck in a couple extras here and there anyway. So
that's fine. I don't even know what number we're on, but I know we're approaching. I know we're approaching an hour.
That was the end of my list. So.
All right, Scott.
Well, the last one on my list was the Rambo bikes, but we covered that. So I'm going to continue on and beat a dead horse again and go back to packs. I had a hard time kind of trying to find a pack that I like with the amount of camera gear that I carry with me, and I self-film, so I'm carrying everything myself. And I become very accustomed to the Badlands Cameraman pack that I bought from Campbell's Cameras 3 or 4 years ago. And I did not notice a cameraman pack that was hanging on their wall, so I asked their marketing guy, and he said that they still have some of them in stock, and you can call and get one, but they're in the Realtree pattern, and they did not reorder them since Badlands camouflage pattern, but they will be coming out with a cameraman pack again. And he said it's probably going to be in a solid color, which I'm sure it'll be an earth tone color, but you will still be able to get the Badlands cameraman pack as well.
Cool. I guess I don't have another one. We've pretty well covered everything. I'd just like to say, on behalf of White Knuckle, it was a well well done show. I thought the seminars that we got to go and listen to were great. The people were great. Just the show was well run and well done, and I hope that everyone that's listening got a chance to look at our Facebook Live videos. We've got several other videos to produce and put out, and I'll make sure that that's not already been done by 5 other people before I post them. Scott, sorry if we made you do tons of extra work for nothing, but you got practice with your new camera anyway. But does anybody have any other final thoughts before we wrap this up?
The only thing I got is I wish I really could have paid attention more to some of the technologies that we got to interview and really pay attention to what the guys had to say, other than I was sitting behind the camera, make sure everything was good to go there for everybody that's going to watch our show to be able to check out. So I'm excited to see everything myself because I had a hard time trying to be able to pay attention.
Yeah, for those of you listening that are probably wondering where in the world Kyle was, well, he was back in Michigan trying to wade through the immense amount of footage that we've sent him this year. We had such a tremendous year. He decided to stay back and edit video, so I'll be doing the same thing here from the ATA show over the course of the next week. So look for that on our YouTube channel. Look for us to have a much bigger presence on our YouTube channel as we go forward here. The second part of Donnie's show is going to air, I believe, this Thursday. You don't want to miss that. Nice work, Donnie. Donnie or David, any closing remarks, final thoughts, marching orders, anything?
Well, I guess the only thing I want to just add is that...
go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
Okay. Just there's so many different styles of hunting and different terrains and different places people live. But, that show just highlights that no matter what your style is or your budget is, there's really no reason not to be comfortable, safe, and efficient out in the whitetail world or out in the mountains or whatever it is you're chasing. There's so many quality products out there at all different price points and to meet your style. So just do a little research and find out what works for you.
It was neat to see that. Selfishly take Elite for instance. Putting out a bow at that $699 price point. And I heard several different manufacturers being, I think they're always concerned with the price point, and sometimes it's hard to, put quality stuff out there at a low price point. But I think Elite definitely did a good job with that Enlist bow. They hit it. Yeah, did any of you guys get to shoot that?
That's funny that you asked that, because that was one thing that I regretted not doing. I forgot to actually shoot that bow when we were there. So, I plan on actually going out to a local dealer and shooting it, just so I know, because I'll tell you, just looking at it and just selling bows for over 20 years, I can tell you that's going to be it's a well-built bow, and you're getting a lot of quality for the money on that thing, and I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal as far as shooting, especially for that price. And the other thing that was cool about what they're doing with those, I think all the Elite bows actually, is they have a finance program. So, if you don't have the money right up front, they've got a finance program that you can work through your dealer with. And I thought that was pretty awesome, because that's something that, as an archery owner or archery shop owner, that would have been awesome to have back when I had my store. So it gives people another opportunity to maybe upgrade into a new bow.
Wow, I guess I didn't know that. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And so Donnie, you said basically it's going to be offered at the pro shop level, and so contact your local Elite dealer, and they'll be able to give you more information about that.
I think it's even beyond that. I think you can actually even go. You can go, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you can go to Elite's website, pick your bow, your color, your draw length, everything. Now, most of the time I would probably recommend you go into a shop. If you're not absolutely 100% sure of your draw length, go in there and make sure that they fit you correctly. And, go in and make sure you shoot it, make sure it's what you want. But if you know what you want, 100%, you can order it, I believe, online and have it and finance it from there and have it sent to your local dealer.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap. I'm sure there's 100,000 other things that we could talk about, but thanks for all your hard work and your effort. And again, I hope everyone that's listening that did get a chance to tune in and see our coverage of the 2018 ATA show enjoyed it. If there's anything that we didn't cover that you have a question about, certainly, make a post on our Facebook page, and one of the three of us will get or four of us will get an answer to you. Or Todd, just don't be afraid to ask a question if we didn't cover it here. But with that, I guess I'll close out the show, guys, and say thanks for taking the time to recap, the show in addition to the 4 or 3 days that we got to spend running our tails off. Well, there you have it. My interview with Scott, Donnie, and David. All of us attended the ATA show this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found some of the information valuable and at least can get an idea of what's going to be available in the upcoming year here for gear. With that, I'm going to close out the show for the week. We're going to announce here in the coming weeks what new partnerships we'll have, and we're excited about the folks that we talk to and excited about the products that we'll be representing. No huge changes for us, but maybe a couple additions to the White Knuckle family. So with that, again, don't forget to give us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever it is that you listen to this show. Please give us a review and let us know how it is that we're doing. With that, I'll close out the show. Jason out.